All right, DD India's Amritpal Singh joins us for more. Amrit, good morning. We have given the latest on West Asia crisis to our viewers, but I want you to spell more as to how do we expect the days ahead to pan out. Donald Trump vehemently says that the war will continue until they bring an end to Iran's leadership. At the same time, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard are opposed to this, and they are saying that they will fight till the last breath, and they are well occupied with 6 months of artillery ahead if the war continues. Put all this together, how do we expect the days ahead?
Well, it's escalating, and it's entered a new phase of escalation, Preeti, with economic, non-military targets being hit now, civilian infrastructure being hit on both sides. Within Iran, we saw what happened yesterday to that oil refinery just south of Tehran, called the Shahan oil refinery, which produces about 15% of Iran's oil requirements, or refines 15% of Iran's oil. A school has been hit, another school has been hit, the earlier one in Menab, in which 165 children had died. Now another school has been hit, where there's reportedly one death. The same from the Iranian side, they've hit Kuwait, the Social Security Office was hit. They've hit the Ali Al Salem Air Base of Kuwait. They sent projectiles into Israel. They've bombed the Haifa oil refinery. So with all this, basically the escalation is now moving fast from military targets to non-military, civilian, and economic targets. With already tensions up and insurers pulling out with an uncertain situation, the oil prices, Brent breaching the $90 per barrel mark. If such attacks on oil refineries, etc., continues, then there would be an economic impact. The oil could breach anything above 100, possibly go up to 150 if this drags on for some time. And as far as Donald Trump's statements go, Donald Trump is given to rhetoric. He doesn't seem to be backing down, especially on a day when the bodies of the 6 American soldiers killed in Kuwait arrived there. And he was part of that solemn ceremony called the Dignified Transfer Ceremony. So he's trying to sound brave because polls suggest that most Americans do not support the war. So he cannot be seen as backing down. The IRGC knows very well, that unless ground forces enter Iran, which doesn't look likely right now, regime change cannot be affected. Though there is some domestic backlash because of Pezeshkian's televised apology, but they've been at pains to explain that they will not attack the Gulf countries if they don't allow the Americans and the Israelis to use their bases. Mainly Americans. Israelis are firing from their own territory. So both the IRGC, the Speaker of the Majlis, Ali Lajani, who's a key figure, who's the Secretary of the National Security Council, has been saying that we will hit everyone who will allow their land to be used for hitting us. So clearly, it is at an escalatory on the escalatory ladder, and before it comes down, and that doesn't seem to be in sight, Preeti.
All right, the Israeli military has also confirmed its attack on Iranian oil refinery, oil fuel storage facility. Now, this also put into perspective for us, Amrit. How do we expect the economic fallout of this war to have a bearing on the world economy, given the way the oil prices have shot up?
Not just the oil prices. Oil prices, of course, have shot up, and the immediate effect is on the oil prices. But then there is this whole question of food security.
Yes.
Sulfur also passes through that Strait of Hormuz, which is technically open. The Iranians are saying, no, we have not closed that. But, it's down to a trickle because insurers are pulling out. Ships are not going in. The Americans said, we'll escort. The Iranians retorted back saying, come, we're waiting for you, because they know if the Americans come in, escort ships, and they hit their ships, there will be a response. So that creates even more panic, and the risk appetite in the world is already very low. So, it could create inflationary pressures. Food security could come into issue, especially in the Gulf region. It could come into issue because, they do not grow much. They import most of their food from countries like India. That's going to be that's a big worry that's staring the world in the face. And then, once inflation goes up in countries, once, as both Kuwait and Oman have indicated that they have, put their production on hold because they're not left with enough storage facilities. So this will, push the crude up, and that could create inflation worldwide. Preeti.
All right, Amrit, we leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those updates and that analysis.